Senior advisor Danielle Alvarez in studio with us to discuss all of this. Danielle, so here's the amount of cash that both parties have on hand right now. So the RNC currently sitting on about $84 million, and it's reported that the DNC only has about $14 million. So what are Republicans doing right that the Democrats apparently are not? That's a big difference right there.
Yeah, I mean, it's really interesting. Just when you think the Democrats hit rock bottom, they keep spiraling downward. As I watched this recent DNC meeting, unfortunately, you know, I get paid to do those things. I don't think anybody else in America was watching. But I was just grateful they didn't sing and break out into hymn like they did in the previous one. Yeah. It's pretty embarrassing for them. Luckily for us, we have a great leader in President Trump. The RNC has Vice President J.D. Vance as their finance chair. Michael Whatley just stepped down as RNC chair. Joe Gruder's had the full support of the president. So our party is humming. It's moving smooth. It's all moving smoothly. Again, $85 million, about $84 million cash on hand, and making sure that the president has the war chest to be successful in these midterm elections, to be able to maintain and possibly expand seats in the House and Senate. It's going to be important to make sure he has 4 full years in his administration. And Democrats, I'm not sure what you're doing. Their burn rate is pretty embarrassing, too. They're spending money on trying to appeal to white men. I heard they recently fired that staffer because it's just not going in the right direction.
Well, and to make matters worse, and you can say doubling down on stupid, which is my favorite, is like, according to the New York Times, the DNC also covered $20 million in campaign debt from Kamala.
Yikes.
And she's actually raising money to help pay that off, but not telling the donors that it's to pay off her unpaid campaign bills.
It is really embarrassing. I mean, obviously, we saw President Trump not only defeat Joe Biden, but defeat Kamala Harris. And thank God, because our country is headed in the right direction as a result. Every metric looks bad for Democrats. They have no leader. They have no message. They have no policies. And because they have no leader, what you're seeing is individuals continuing to move further to the left to raise their profile. You just saw Cory Booker shout someone down on the Senate floor. It's really bad and embarrassing. And in stark contrast, we saw that meeting for 3 hours yesterday, the cabinet meeting where everyone is working together. Everyone is working for the American people. I mean, just really bad for Democrats. And as we've talked about together, it's all about leading well. It's all about making sure that we govern well with the mandate we received in November heading into these midterm elections.
Yeah, and you mentioned the Democrats not having any message. And when they do speak, it seems to be the wrong message. And we played it earlier, a clip from these summer meetings of leaders standing on stage and saying, no one really cares about crime that much. No one really cares about carjackings. And then you have the AP poll out this morning that shows 80% of Americans care about crime and believe that crime is a big problem, which is why we're seeing these federal crackdowns.
That's exactly right. I mean, if you look at the resolutions they passed, whether it was, you know, about land or about DEI, they're just completely out of step. And to hear them say the words out loud that nobody cares about carjackings and crime, everyone across America cares about safety in our communities. And that's why President Trump is so successful, as he's brought safety to Washington, D.C. I mean, I've lived there before. I remember walking my then 2-year-old to the park, having to pass 2 homeless encampments. And I lived in the Navy Yard. I lived in a relatively safe area of Washington, D.C. I mean, it's really important what this president is doing. And it's not just the AP poll that came out this morning. Let's look at the New York Times, who was forced to write about voter registration trends.
Right.
Republicans are up a net of, I think, about 2.4 million. Democrats are down a net of 2.1. That delta is 4.5 million switch in voter registration for Republicans. And I just have to brag, my home state of Florida is leading that trend. We are now up 1.3 million Republican voters. When President Obama was in office, we were down about 500,000 to Democrats.
Wow, we're really seeing a big shift.
Big shift across the country.
You know, and I think one of the reasons, and we talked about this with Hogan and TW in our last segment, is that Democrats continue to think that they have a messaging problem. They have a policy problem, or a lack of policy problem. They keep choosing the 20% on the 80-20 issues, crime being the latest example of that. And I think that's the reason why people are leaving the Democrat Party. They have historically low approval ratings as a party. Their fundraising is a mess. And even CNN is admitting and being forced to admit that they are basically, you know, that Ken Martin, the DNC chair, inherited a crisis. They say, of course, he's part of it. And then back in May, Politico got a recording of him crying on a call with other Democrats. Take a listen to this.
No one knows who the hell I am. right? I'm trying to get my sea legs underneath of me and actually develop any amount of credibility so I can go out there and raise the money and do the job I need to put ourselves in a position to win. And again, I don't think you intended this, but you essentially destroyed any chance I have to show the leadership that I need to. So it's really frustrating.
That's all you need right there. I mean, no leadership, no money, no public support, no policy.
So
and
sad.
You don't get out of the wilderness that way. 15 seconds, Danielle.
That's incredibly sad. My heart goes out to the DNC chair. I mean, crying on the phone with Politico. And again, in that stark contrast to President Donald Trump, I mean, we are months into his administration. Win after win for the American people, tax cuts, secure border, peace through strength, most transparent administration, bringing crime down. The list goes on and on. We don't have enough time to cover it all. But I know that the American people are so grateful for his leadership and for the Republican Party heading our country in the right direction. America's back.
Labor Day is right around the corner, which means campaign season, at least in Jersey, Virginia, New York, right around the corner. It'll be fun.
You'll be busy.
You'll be busy.
Right around the corner. We're looking forward to it.
Here we go.
All right, Danielle, thank you
Thank
for joining
you.
us.